Why are you pointing at me?
You're supposed to do the...
Oh, does that mean start?
Yeah, welcome to...
I can provide the music. Hello, and welcome to the Philosopher and the Fool. My name is Fool Philosopher, with your host Cameron and a special guest today, Connor.
I'm the host, or co-host.
So special guest, how's it feel to be on my show?
It feels like I'm going to be doing all the work and editing later.
Yeah. Well, now you know what Hudson felt like, and he had a whole big bay named after him, so isn't that great?
What?
So we were talking about Hudson earlier. You know, he had a whole bay named after him after the mutiny. So...
It was after the mutiny?
Yeah, because he died in the water, so they named after him.
Oh, he's that guy? Oh. The guy who tried to find the way through North Passage.
People mutinied and stuck him in a boat and kicked him off into the middle of the bay, and then he and his son died out there, probably, or were taken in, who knows.
Frozen to death and eaten by polar bears.
Yeah, one of those things. Or he was, rescued.
You are listening to The Fool and the Philosopher.
So I invented a game, right? And what you do is you say a mammal, dog, and then the other player says a weirder mammal, so let's say kangaroo, and then the next player says, and then it goes back to the first player, and they say an even weirder mammal, like anteater, and you go back and forth, and then whoever says platypus first wins.
Okay.
Because I was thinking about it, right? And platypodes, they have beaks like a duck, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of course. And then they have, they're mammals though, but they lay eggs, but they secrete milk through their skin, and that's the females, and the males have poisonous spurs in their things.
Web feet.
But, and you're okay, well that's pretty weird. I mean, that's all I knew until yesterday. But they also have some sort of magic force field that comes out of their bill that lets them see with a sixth sense of electricity.
I thought that was sonar or something
No,
like that.
it's like an electric field that lets them detect muscle movements, because every time you move a muscle it fires electrons and stuff, so they can detect electrical currents with their beak. And they have another mechanical sensor that can detect water movement, and the delay between the two tells them where things in the water are. They're like robots designed from the greatest parts of the animal kingdom.
Well, I was going to say a weirder animal is a echidna, but I think that's not true anymore. No, echidnas also lay eggs. They're the other...
Well, there's three things that lay eggs, and I think echidnas are two of them.
Echidnas are two of them.
Yeah.
Does the No, the pangolin doesn't. I thought it did.
But did you know that Richard Dawkins, right? He said that the brain, he thinks humans have larger brains than all other animals for three reasons, besides maybe dolphins. I'm not sure.
What about whales? Those are pretty big brains.
Comparative to their size.
It could probably crush you.
Three main purposes, right? So he thinks that, and I don't remember the third one, but there's two purposes for the human brain. So the first one is that the human brain is for manipulating your hands. It takes a lot more brain power to do fine motor manipulations with fingers and stuff. And the second reason is to store memes. So I'm sure you'll love that, because I think he meant that in terms of culture, but I'm sure that can be taken in all sorts of contexts.
Is music a meme under Richard Dawkins?
I have no clue.
Well, isn't a meme a perpetuating idea that...
Yeah, so music wouldn't be.
But I mean, a folk song...
Like those car songs might be, that you sort of stick around. Yeah.
You know, someone had to come up with those car songs.
No, I don't know if they did have to come up with them. I think they just appeared.
Someone had to be the first person and it spread from them.
Because you just have you have this common folk tune that you hum. It just goes back hundreds of years. And then you're just doing something that rhymes slightly, and just chuck in something like, how many trees do I see? That one looks like a bumblebee. That one looks like it came from the sea. That one looks like the letter T. See, and then it can just appear.
And then the best ones stick around?
Yeah, because the true memes. I was thinking we should have music in our podcast. Maybe we do already. I don't listen to it. Do we?
We did, I think, in the first one. We might have it in the second one, but more sparse in between.
We should have an opening song at the start of every one, right?
I have an opening song, I think. I'm not sure if I did it in the second one. You sort of provide... No, right. So the first one actually did songs, and then in the second one you provided them by you're singing your whole chicken thing, and then the outro was your news... you singing that, because I could get away with both the songs being covers.
At the start, we should have, a little tune that everyone, oh, I know what I'm listening to, right? And, we have our voice coming over it. Welcome, ladies, gents of all ages,
And in between.
Ladies over 20.
Why ladies over 20?
Because we needed to discriminate amongst the women.
Our audience
That sounds bad.
is some random guy.
Who likes Walla Walla, Washington?
No, he
Oh.
is a different guy now.
Is it a guy? Do you know?
Yes, it's a
It
guy.
might be a lady over 20.
What?
You never know.
He's the only other subscriber besides...
Well, maybe we should, stick him in a draw or something.
Yes. We'll have a draw and giveaway for all our subscribers.
No, don't say that. I don't know how to mail stuff to people. I'm a millennial.
I don't know. We have to have something. Like you said, you're a millennial. You don't know how to mail things.
Or what about an imaginary t-shirt?
Imaginary t-shirt?
Yeah, and what we could do is we could keep a little profile. We could get an Excel sheet or something, and we could keep track of who has which imaginary bits of clothing and points or something. And then we can be like, ah yes, Douglas 64, you have one imaginary shirt, a red imaginary sock, and then be like playing Diablo, but instead they have imaginary clothing.
Yeah.
And every 5 episodes we could read out everyone's clothing as a special feature at the end, so they could skip it if they don't want to. I like that
Interesting idea. We might proceed with that or might not. It all
Maybe
depends.
they can get cool weapons.
What?
+1 sword of fire. It's 2 swords that are on fire.
Just in case you forgot, you are listening to The Fool and the Philosopher.
So I was thinking anyways, you have to start, right? And you have a song playing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of the Goldbach variations. And
Goldback variations? Are those over 200 years old?
I don't know.
I'm just curious if they're free domain.
We'd have to check. But that lasts for 75 years, doesn't it?
I thought it was 200 years.
Or it's 15 years after the death of the creator or something. I don't know. It's not 200 years.
So it's probably free domain.
I think it should be there.
Okay.
It plays very briefly, and then it fades out and we fade in at the same time. And so we overlap it a little bit, and then it's kind of in the background for a minute maybe, just quietly.
And then Peter's out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just very quietly, though. Not even quietly, very quietly, so you have to really listen for it.
And then we have outro music?
We could. It could be the Goldbach variations in reverse.
Wouldn't that sound kind of bad?
It'd probably just sound creepy. But think about it, it'd be like...
Alright, so I'm the guest. Behave. Are you trying to speak backwards?
Yeah.
No. So I'm the guest on today's show.
Alright, can I be home?
Sure.
So you have to have the sun in your eyes for the first round.
Usually, I don't know actually how you usually design fields. I figure
If I was the home team, I would make my side the half that placed the sun in the eyes of my opponents, I think.
Well, if you had a home and away, but your stadium actually rotated, so you could always have the away team in the sun, even when you switch halves.
Yeah, so they wouldn't know, and they'd just be like, wow, we have bad luck, the sun's moving fast today.
Yeah. That's kind of devious.
Yeah. Probably only cost a couple $2 billion, too. So, you're the guest today.
Yes.
So, as a guest, you have to do
20 push-ups?
No, you have to answer
the questions
that we pose to all guests. What is your favorite story involving freshwater fish?
Back when I was in elementary school, we did this spring camp. And I have a friend who was very much into fishing. While he's fishing, some other kids decided to do some spear fishing, and they're allowed to do that. And one of them went a little too low down in the water, and they were trying to chase fish. And his line went out, and he caught a fish, and they speared it at the same time. And it...
Continue.
Okay.
Go on.
Right. And so they couldn't decide who got the fish because one of them speared it and the other one hooked it. But the only reason I think that one person speared it was because he had been drawing it in so it couldn't escape out of the way of the spear. So that's one of my favorite stories involving freshwater fish. The silence won't be as long as it was. But if you're wondering why I just start spluttering, he's cutting his pants up with a scissor.
Does that look even?
Sure. It looked lovely.
I'll be back. Just keep going the air.
He has to go cut his pants up with scissors. And he's doing some sort of hipster fashion design. Well, since I'm the guest, I guess we should continue interviewing the guest. So, hello, Connor. Hello. How are you doing? Oh, I'm doing fine. What are you doing right now? Oh, I'm on this podcast with you. Oh, that's grand. I'm also on this podcast with you. Isn't that lovely?
You filled time.
Oh, so I can't continue my thing because now you're back. You just start talking.
Yeah, it's about me, right?
Yes.
Oh, cool. Right, so do you have any topics that you prepared for this?
There was one, which is the foxes at our dad's house. We have 6 of them. I think my dad is starting to feel a bit sad that he doesn't have a pet. So he's started getting them like squeaky toys. And the other day he like threw the squeaky toys at the foxes, and they grabbed the squeaky toys and ran off, and there's just this squeaking as they ran off, squeaking the squeaky toys in their mouths. And now I feel like the neighbors are going to like hear this phantom squeaking and have no idea what it's about, because there's a fox somewhere in its den with a squeaky toy. Why are you making your pants shorter?
Because they're too long. Women's Game Design Corner! Woo! Hello, and welcome to Cameron's Game Design Corner. Today we'll be looking at the idea of stories in games. Now, a lot of people, when I say I don't like stories in games, misunderstand me. They think I don't like stories in games. But what I actually mean by... Okay, I can understand the confusion. But what I actually mean by that... But what I actually mean is I don't like it when the game creators make the stories for me. I might as well be watching a movie or reading a book if they are going to make the story. Because games are experiences. What you want to get from a game, you want it to be a medium to create your own stories. So a game that is just all story-based is more of a book that you can click, that you have to click occasionally. So it's actually more work than reading a book for the same result. Often less, because they're not as good as books. I've heard there's good ones out there, like Planescape Torment and stuff, but I generally don't like them. The one exception to this rule would be a game like Portal, where the story doesn't intrude on the gameplay in the slightest, so it's just a happy little bonus. So if you're making games, I would very much like you to focus on making situations which allow for unique experiences rather than on writing, because writing should be left to books.
Well, I have some thoughts on that. So, first, sometimes maybe they want to have a story in their game, and maybe that's part of it. And sometimes it feels like you are in their story. Like, some people like that. Not everyone is like you. Some people actually play a game for the story. Like,
yeah, but what I'm saying is they're wrong when they do that, right? Because
no, they aren't.
Yes, because they could get a better story from a book, or they
are
create their own story.
They're not earning that story. Because a part of video games, I think, is you earn the story. Like,
yeah, that's ridiculous, isn't it?
No, it's like a part of it. It's all right, so
you know what?
No,
you already worked for like 2 hours to earn that story. You don't need to earn it again in your spare time.
Final Fantasy, over the series, you get like really invested in the game and like the characters and the story of Final Fantasy. And then at one point, I don't think this is a spoiler anymore, I haven't played the game myself, I just know about it. This one character kills another one, and it's really devastating, but you had to get to that cutscene, and it's sort of like worked up to it, and it's something that happens, and you're sort of held there captive audience as it happens. And that's like something you work up and earn that experience, even though it's terrible. It's a really powerful thing, it sort of shapes the game and stuff. That's not the best example. Like, Okami's story is alright, but you progress through the story. You're doing a game and a story at the same time. You progress through it, and by doing the game, you get the story. And it's like this...
No, you get punished for doing the game, and they force the game to stop with the annoying cutscenes. They have to smash the continue button through.
So when you're playing Pokemon, you don't like talking to random strangers who don't input anything into the game. They're just like, say some silly little fact.
Yeah, no, I just click on them to see if they'll give me something.
See, I think it's not... I don't think it's the games. I think it's you.
No, I think I'm right, though, in this case. Like, normally normally I would actually think there's, like, a nuanced point of view. But in this case, I think I'm actually right. And I think people are just suffering from lesser experiences. And they don't realize that there's something better out there. I would encourage people who enjoy stories and games to feel a bit more miserable about their happiness and be more elitist and condescending.
So what's your opinion on light novels, then?
Light novels?
Yeah.
Fine with them.
Do you know what a light novel is?
No.
Ah.
Is that like a small novel?
Do you know the genre of Japanese dating games where you try and get different girls and it's like tons and tons of text?
Yeah.
Alright, so a light novel is one of those, except it's not specifically a dating sim.
Right. And do you have choices in it?
Yeah, you have it's sort of,
So it's like a choose your own adventure.
well, it depends, like sometimes you can actually like walk about the map and interact with things and like a point and click mixed with story sometimes, or sometimes it's choose your own adventure and
Yeah, I think I'm fine with that. It's not a game though.
no, it's like a branching story.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a game. I'd call it a story.
So like a fight.
Or I don't know.
What about fighting fantasies? What's your opinion on those?
I don't know.
I think it's kind of silly how
They're like luck.
yeah, they're luck.
It's like I don't
It's
know.
a book that you can be unfortunate in.
It's like a book you can lose. Kind of like the choose your own adventure.
Yeah.
And would it choose your adventure be a game? I don't know, because they're kind of it's totally luck based, isn't it?
So what about
Although, like especially choose your own adventure, because you can make the craziest decisions and it doesn't matter
so we just you don't like stories in games, I guess.
unless they don't get in the way of the game.
What about like
So Portal is a the story is great because it's there, but you can keep playing. It doesn't get in the way.
you probably haven't played it much, I haven't, but I've heard about this. Dark Souls, right? Doesn't have much of a story, and it doesn't give you exposition, but you can find little bits of lore, and it's like a very creative world in its own way.
Yeah, that's very cool.
You like that?
Yes, I like that.
Yeah, because Dark Souls is very popular, partly because it's a good, challenging game, but also because of that thing, that like hidden lore. Like it doesn't give you anything.
What I'll say about that though is that is a ton of work on the developer's part, because you basically go through all the work of writing a story, and then you don't actually ever show it to anyone. So, and you hope that they find it out. It's a big risk, and it's impressive.
What about FNAF then? And
Yeah, that's another impressive one. But that again doesn't get in the way of the gameplay. So I don't
but
mind.
like with FNAF, it's sort of a part of the gameplay trying to find that, I think, for some people anyways.
Yeah, but that's not actually what it's about. Like you can have people that craft wild theories about Lord of the Rings, but you can just read the books as well.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's the other thing. Multiple endings in games. It's like, oh, your decisions matter, but what it actually does is it means that players will just play until they get every ending and waste their time. So I don't think multiple endings are good either. I think emergent storytelling is the most important feature of storytelling in games, not having a story shoved down your throat.
I still like stories sometimes. Like Baldur's Gate, I like the story in Baldur's Gate. And Baldur's Gate is, I don't know, it is sort of like a choose your own adventure, but there's also definitely the game aspect to it, and like someone's walking around and you can just hit them with a fireball and completely change the world by fireballing Gorion. That's like a combination of your emergent storytelling. Like you can create your own story, but there's so many stories options in it.
Well, and I'm thinking of like Battle Block Theater, where the story is very separate from the game, but they're both quite good. And I actually like that. And I don't know if the story would work as a standalone. So maybe stories can work in games, but it's not my thing.
What about the story of Skyrim?
It has a story?
Well, there's like a bunch of individual quests with their own little storylines, and there's actually a lot of emergent story to it.
I just kind of click on things and then follow the markers on the GPS.
Oh, lovely. Yeah. Alright. So,
there's all these books that you can sell for like $1, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not like huge on story in games. I think if I want story, I'll get a good story from something that knows what they're from a different source. And if I want a good game, I'll play a good game. How about this? It takes way more investment to have a good story and a good game than just make a good game, and you're probably even the best game stories aren't going to be up there with book stories, so you should just give up and not try.
here's an interesting question. So, Brothers, right?
Yeah.
Would that work just as a book?
No, but the story is told through the gameplay. So I guess that's my takeaway here, is I think stories should be told through the gameplay rather than tacked on.
Like cutscenes?
Yeah.
Okay, what about cutscenes where you have to mash buttons?
Those are worse than normal cutscenes.
Because you have to work for them?
Yeah, and also that isn't, unless you're playing Dance Dance Revolution, it's just not acceptable type of gameplay.
So you don't like QuickTime?
Not at all.
What about Shadow of Mordor QuickTime?
Not at all.
Really?
Although, the one thing about Shadow of Mordor QuickTime is that it lets you come back, so it's like it... But it's kind of like making a deal with the devil. Like, sure, you live, but you feel dirty afterwards. So...
What about... just the quick time of like someone's about to throw a spear at you, and so you have to tap C to dodge, or
Well, you can do it ahead of time though if you see them coming.
I guess so.
And I don't think that's the same
As quick
it's
time?
Just it's been really helpful.
It's just reacting in a fighting game.
It's just no, the game's telling you how to survive, and so I guess you can take that how you will.
You don't have to do it. It doesn't end your game experience immediately, like quick time events or whatever.
Yeah, but it's also probably a good idea to listen to it.
What about was that the Ultimate Stick Fight or something, or
What's that?
that game where you tap two buttons,
Oh,
two finger death punch?
that's
Is that a rhythm game under your clarification, not a quick time game?
yeah, it's a rhythm game definitely.
Okay. Well, if you had
I
like,
say QuickTime is just a cutscene that you can lose.
what about a quick time in a video game that's a rhythm game? Or would you not like that because you're there for the game experience, and then you have this weird subpar game experience that's just tacked on you don't want?
Yeah, well, I don't like losing a cutscene because cutscenes are bad enough, but having to do them over and over again is just
So I take it you really like Telltale games.
really no. I really don't like Telltale games.
Come on, there's so much to Telltale games. They're like purely cutscenes, and they're cutscenes and point and click.
People buy them obviously, so good for them. But that is like the worst combination of every possible thing in games I can imagine, basically in one place. So
They even have cover shooters in Telltale games.
they also don't even give you the full game, and it's just I don't know how they exist. I think it's just because people don't know what books are. Like they haven't read a book. I don't know. Like I know some people that read a lot and they play Telltale games. So I don't know. Brain parasites. That's not very nice. What if our one viewer is like the lead designer of Telltale games, and now they're really sad?
Well, you lost us our one viewer then if you did that.
Well,
and I'll be very upset with you as well.
well, no, I don't want to be mean to them. I just,
You just don't like Telltale games?
yeah, I just like they.
No, Cameron, people
work in.
people are individuals. They can be each of their own.
But I think brain parasites isn't a fair thing to say about people that like their games.
Okay.
I think that at most it's like mild dementia. No, that's if you like.
No, brain parasites isn't harsh enough. There is something wrong with these people. It's not just brain parasites. It's probably like demon packs or something. Like they make deals with demons,
Yeah, they
they
came back
could
to life
enjoy
in
those
Shadow
things.
of War.
Shadow of War. So
They
that,
Faustian bargain and lost their dignity.
but Shadow of War. I'm very happy for what happened with that game. I think I might actually play it in the future.
Oh yeah, Shadow of War did a great thing where it's this great marketing thing where you do something bad and then you take it back so you look better than someone that didn't do the bad thing in the first place. They're heroes. But actually, good on them for getting rid of their whole microtransactions thing.
Well, it is so worth it for a games company to do that, or was for like the past 2 years. It is really worth it. But you can only do that for so long before gamers get upset.
I think that form of them is on their way out. There's going to be something new in the future, but
Something new, people try and make money off their products, just trying to live.
well, I saw it. When you look at
End user agreement.
yeah, a lot of them are along the lines of because I read a few, and a lot of them are along the lines of this is a license, not a purchase of a product that you own. So you don't actually own games. It's not like you buy a walking stick and you can now do whatever you want with it. You can carve ancient runes into it or hit people over the head with it, and the company's not going to mind.
Are you allowed to resell that walking stick you bought?
I don't know, but
Then how do pawn shops work?
I
Are pawn shops legal?
don't know. Technically it's not exactly legal to resell video games either, or secondhand bookstores aren't legal either. So I don't know how those work. But yeah, you don't actually own them. It's kind of because they're intellectual properties, I guess. So
Well,
I don't know.
You don't actually own your house either. If you're living in a place with a country, then it's most likely that the country owns your property and your house, and you've paid to have the privilege of it permanently. If you can't give that privilege away to someone else after you die, then it goes back to the government. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. I might be completely wrong. I can't help but feel slightly offended.
But
You're sewing your pants!
so
Am I so disinteresting to you that you have to do something else to fill your time while I'm talking, or you're so uninvested in this podcast that you're just like, all right, might as well do something else. It's almost like, know how people listen to podcasts while doing things that are slightly boring? You're recording a podcast while doing something that's slightly boring. I mean, no, it feels offensive. If you're sewing your pants right now and listening to this, be well aware that
You're in good company.
Well, yes, your company is someone else. I don't know.
So I read the other day in the statistics that there are actually more podcasts out there in the world than there are people. And
Really?
we're just, yeah, in the statistics it said so.
More podcast episodes or more podcasts?
More podcasts. There is over 10 podcasts.
Yes, there's over 100 podcasts as well.
Yeah. And so I was thinking,
There's over 7 billion podcasts.
I'm thinking that we're contributing to the problem, right? And so, but at the other hand, there's like niches, right? So there's going to be someone out there who
Really likes Walla Walla, Washington.
there's just always there's a niche for everything. Like, so having however many thousands of podcasts there are,
Billions.
I don't think there's that many. It's crazy.
Well, you said there's more podcasts than people.
Yeah, but I mean, how many people are there really?
7 billion.
Yeah, but are there?
Yes.
But there might not be.
Here's the thing, though.
Do you count as a person if you're younger than 2?
Yeah, I guess you won't be listening to podcasts.
Well, no, I just mean like in general.
Yes. By law, you do.
Yeah, but like, do you though? Like in reality? Because
Do you count as a person if you're over 100?
I think so. Although that is another thing. See, like, that's tricky. But I just totally made that statistic up. But anyways, it is...
That's the title.
What?
I totally made that statistic up.
But yeah, I was thinking a niche, Like, there's just a ridiculous amount of podcasts out there, but I'm sure there's someone that's like, I could really do with a podcast about, like, miniatures painting, but it focused more on, like, blue spectrum of colors, and only about, like... And I don't want to just Warhammer or something. I don't play those games. I play like Advanced Wars, the miniatures game. It's a game I homebrewed with my friend and posted on forum that's now gone, but some people have downloaded the PDF. So, and there's going to be a podcast out there for that guy.
I don't think there is.
So I think we're kind of like that, where we're for people that just really want disjointed rambling and pant sewing.
Yes, disjointed rambling.
Cameron's pant sewing tips.
Sew them while you're wearing them.
Wait,
don't
I'll
sew it onto your skin.
Wait, I'll do one of those intro things again. Cameron's pant sewing tips. Hello, and welcome to Cameron's pant sewing tips. The first tip is sewing machines. You might think they're easier to use, but they are just devil tools. I would avoid them at all costs. Instead, you should hack at the base of your pants with scissors, and then roughly just do a bunch of loops until your pants stick together, kind of. And call it a day, because it's better this way. And also don't stab your leg, because that would hurt. I'm wearing my pants right now while sewing them, so because that'd be like kind of crude if I wasn't wearing pants while doing a recording, I think.
Yes, thank you for wearing your pants.
But it does make sewing them slightly different. Oh, I just got some leg hair, and that's fine. I don't need to take these off right now.
So there's a lot of podcasts. I mean, the podcast usually is an hour to 2 hours long, right?
Yeah, I think it's maybe...
There's 24 hours in a day.
Yeah.
One person isn't just going to listen to just one podcast.
Well, but you have to do other things in your life than listen to podcasts.
No, podcasts are a background thing. You're like, in your bobcat, you're bored, you're just plowing gravel, you're going to listen to a podcast.
Yeah, I don't
Maybe
think
you want to listen to people incoherently rambling.
But I think, I don't think that's good for you. Because I don't think you should listen to podcasts. I don't think they're a good thing. Because,
Right, I'm going to find a different partner.
Because...
I'm finding a different person to do it with.
boredom...
I have a friend who really wants to do the podcast with me, and I think he'd be a better fit than you. He's really clever and smart, and he actually likes podcasts and thinks they're a good idea.
Right, and they're great. But I don't think they're good, because I think that your mind goes when you are listening to podcasts or recording them, and...
You're literally treating this podcast like you're listening to it. Like while you're recording it,
because boredom is good for you, I think. Because it lets you think about things. But if you're always, not thinking about things, then you don't think them through. And you end up, jumping off a cliff on a shovel because you think that's the right thing to do. And it's not.
I agree with what you're saying, but you're saying it wrong.
No, I do agree. Like, I've come to a point in time where it's like always doing something. Like, you're eating food and you're reading a book and you're like going for a walk and listening to a podcast. So you're like doing all these things and you're doing something else while doing them to occupy the empty space in your mind because you don't want any silence. You always want sound because if there's no silence, then you have to think, and thinking's effort. And so it's easier not to think, but when you stop thinking for a long time, you sort of just start melting away. You just sewed your pants together. So your main brain just starts going, and I've been thinking, like, I kind of want to like make skits that can film, like live action skits.
Yep.
Even though I don't know if you have the best camera for it, but I don't know if I can do the writing for them because I just can't think on it. And it's like, I used to think all the time, I have all these ideas, and now I don't. It's realized because I've filled all the time I used to think with things.
Yeah.
So now I'm trying to unfill my time so I can think more.
Yeah, like I noticed, and I don't want to sound like too much of a hipster or something, but I noticed that, because I stopped watching YouTube for a month, and I noticed that I wanted to do other things way more often, like play video games or read a book or something, because I was so bored I'd rather do anything than just sit around. So I actually started doing other things than just defaulting to YouTube or something.
Mm-hmm.
And even like the good stuff, like, educational podcasts and stuff, they're just, I don't know. I think that people that think there's problems with things probably are just addicted to them and there's no problems with them at all.
Yes.
Like, people are like, man, heroin's so bad for you, but I think it's only bad for you if you're addicted to it. Actually, that's true. I think it's true of everything, yeah.
Man, bullets are so bad for you.
Yeah, but only if you're addicted to, like, eating them or something.
I'm so addicted to getting shot with bullets.
Yeah.
So bad.
Yeah, that'd be bad, wouldn't it?
I mean, I took one back in Nam, and now I just can't stop.
But if you weren't addicted to them, then they wouldn't be a problem, right? Because you wouldn't be shooting yourself, because that's crazy. You know what I mean? Like, I think there's something to be taken there. Like, people that say games are bad for you, or books are bad for you, or whatever. Like, I think they themselves have problems with them. So I probably have a bit of a problem with YouTube. So just listen to this podcast while driving your bulldozer or whatever. And don't.
And we're espousing not to. No, actually, I've come to a point
I
where...
think there is something important about just having time to not be inundated with stuff at all times.
Yeah, no, like...
Sometimes you just have to contemplate the dishes you're washing,
Yeah, just think about things like, when you go to the toilet, just go to the toilet. Don't do anything else while doing it.
Well, I don't know. That was pretty boring.
No, but you can get some of your best thinking time while on the toilet.
I have my best thinking time while walking, in the shower, or just about to go to sleep, and then I have to write it down and I get enough sleep.
Yeah, but I mean, that best thinking time when you're about to go to sleep is because
It's because you're not trying so hard.
Yeah, you're not doing anything else.
Yeah, so I think don't listen to this podcast. Go out and do something.